So this is where we start. Today we're going to go over stretching the feet. So the feet impact us more than we know. I spent a month in New York City once, and I went there with totally wrong shoes, and I've never experienced such pain in my life. And it was awful because my shoes were too narrow. They were fashionable, but they were not functional, and I just felt excruciating pain each day that I went by. And then I walked by this shoe store and it says, "Will fit your shoes," and I didn't even know what that meant. And I walked in there and this guy goes, "Oh, size 8.5 quadruple E." And I'm like, "What's that mean?" And he's all, "Let me get you some shoes." And I tried on some shoes that were, and then he mentioned something else. I have what's called a curved lasted foot. I don't have a straight foot. It kind of looks like a curved flipper. And so he brought out shoes that would match my foot, and immediately I felt a million times better. But I found out the impact of pain on the feet, and it was really tremendous what it could cause us. So I found out immediately what kind of impact the feet had on my experience in life, and it was really, really awful. And so I have been working with clients this week who have had foot problems, and they don't necessarily have pain yet, but they're heading towards that experience. And once I brought it into their awareness, they saw how much they were suffering and how much they were putting up with that they could easily correct now before they went on the side of foot pain. So we're going to work on foot mechanics and how to stretch and move the feet so that it minimizes the pain and pain sensations in the feet. But it's always surprising because, as we've been talking about this week, the feet and the ankles have 3 degrees of freedom. They have flexion and extension, they have inversion, eversion, or pronation, supination, and then they have external, internal rotation. But like I said, it's not clean, so it involves the knee a little bit. And so that means the ankle and the feet have 3 degrees of freedom. And then it goes through this binary switch, which is your knees, which only flex and extend. So that's why the knees are the largest joint in the body. It's got to take all the information that we're getting from our feet and all the energy and all the forces, and we got to shift it up into our hips, which is our major load-bearing joint. And that has 3 degrees of freedom, only it's 3 true degrees of freedom. We can flex and we can extend, we can abduct and adduct, and then we can internal and externally rotate truly from the hip joint. And so that work has to be transferred all the way up to the top. So in order to open up the feet, it's always odd to have to open up the knees and open up the hips, stabilize the core just to open up the feet, and that's how the feet kind of break down. So that's where we're going to start. We're going to start from the very beginning. I'm going to get my little ball handy. And what we're going to do is we're going to start out with our feet parallel. Get your feet exactly parallel. Usually I say it's based on the second toe, and that's if you have normal feet, but if you have bunions, you have to do it based on your first toe. So you have to line up your first toe parallel. So if you have bunions, you have to overly internally rotate your feet and then lift up your arches to correct what's going on. But we're going to do it in terms of everyone else. Feet are parallel, hips width apart. This is your ASIS. This is your pubic symphysis. Midway in between is hips width apart. So your stance is more narrow than you think. We're going to keep those feet parallel in this position. We're going to slightly bend the knees. We're going to turn the knees out. This is where we create time under tension, and we also create that athletic ready position, which I'll go over in a second. Then we're going to put weight through our first toe and the corresponding metatarsal head, outer 4 toes and corresponding metatarsal heads, but especially that pinky toe. Get that pinky toe down, and finally your heel. 1/3 the weight through the ball of your foot, 1/3 the weight through your toes, and 1/3 the weight through your heels. Now we're going to get in that athletic ready posture. So you're going to put a bend in your knees so you shock absorb, like act as springs down below. We're going to elongate your spine above, and then we're going to activate the head into the righting reflex. So draw the shoulder blades down and back, abs nice and tight. We're just going to stand first, suck in your tummy. We're going to do a little squats. We're going to find out what prevents us to get into this athletic ready posture or position. And sometimes it's your calves. In this case, we're stretching out the soleus. That may be the reason why. We want to feel this in muscles and not joints, so you should be feeling this in the calves, the quads, and the butt. Your abs are stabilizing. We should feel no pressure in the knees, ankles, or low back, neck, shoulders. Smiles are up. Hands are up your sides, like you're feeling the seam of your pants with your third finger, sucking that tummy. And good. Keeping those knees slightly bent. Keep your feet parallel. You're going to put your foot on top of the ball. Keeping your feet parallel. We're going to roll out the bottom of the foot. So we're starting the process of opening up the feet. And so the pain you experience from rolling on top of the ball has nothing to do with the ball. It has to do with how you use your feet. You can definitely go side to side. You can do figure eights like Mario does. You can roll out your heels, but you're going to keep your abs engaged and your feet parallel. Knees over the tops of your feet. Just roll it out, see what it feels like. Keep that bend in your knees. We're starting with knee bent position first, sucking that tummy. Okay, now we're going to go straight legs. Abs are nice and tight. You're going to keep your feet parallel. You're rolling it out. Again, there should be no pain in the bottom of your feet, and if you do feel pain, it's from something you do during the week. Roll it out. Your foot should feel supple. It should be able to conform to what's underneath your foot and not fight it. Because you would never fight a piece of glass under your foot. You would try to move away from it or conform away from it. Abs are nice and tight. Okay, good. We're going to go back into our little athletic ready position. Abs are nice and tight. You're going to put this ball underneath your right foot. You're going to keep your feet parallel. Your both knees are bent. Trying to move from the hips. Notice if this foot feels exactly the same, more painful or less painful than the other side. Sucking that tummy. Keep breathing. Jaws relaxed. You can go side to side as long as your feet stay parallel. Now we're going into straight leg. You're rolling out your foot. So as you can see, the calf is very involved with the foot. And half the time, people who have plantar fasciitis, not half the time, 90% of the time, people with plantar fasciitis don't actually have a foot problem, they have a calf problem. Keep rolling everything out, keep your abs engaged. Keep those feet parallel. Good. Now you're going to take that ball, put it underneath your foot, back behind you. So your foot's going to be parallel. You're going to drop your heel down. This will give you a nice calf stretch. But make sure that foot stays parallel. It is really easy to do this, and this is what leads to bunions. We don't want that. We want to keep that foot parallel. Abs are nice and tight. You're sucking your tummy. Ooh. And you're going to feel like what it feels like to squeeze your toes around the ball and then lift your toes up. Squeeze, release, squeeze, release. Both legs are straight. Abs are nice and tight. You should be getting a nice calf stretch as well as a foot stretch. Okay, then we're going to bend the front knee only. That should deepen the stretch. This is more a functional position. Watch the alignment of that rear foot. Make sure that's the knees over the top of your foot as your abs are nice and tight. Squeeze, release, squeeze, release, squeeze, release. Okay, we're going to switch sides. You're going to take the ball back behind you. You're going to drop your heel down. Oh, hoo, hoo. One side can be tighter than the other. Be prepared for that. Both legs are locked out. Abs are nice and tight. Feet are parallel. Squeeze the ball, then release. Abs are nice and tight. Sucking that tummy, chest up. Hips forward. Smiles are up. Getting function back to the feet. Not always fun. Draw your shoulder blades down and back. Keep those abs engaged. First, second, third chakras are fired up. Your first chakra is your pelvic floor. Second chakra is your lower abs. Third chakra is your upper abs. We want them all firing up. Okay, we're going to get the feet back parallel. The ball goes under the ball of your foot now. Feet are side by side. As you squeeze your toes down and together, up and apart. down and together, up and apart. Just get your foot functional again. This is what the foot should be able to do. Keep your abs engaged, together and apart, together and apart. This is activating all sorts of different muscles. You're activating shin muscles as well as calf muscles now, and the intrinsic muscles of your feet. Now we're going to reverse it. It's going to be down and separate, up and together. Down and separate, up and together. Just see what that feels like. Your foot should be able to do both of these patterns. That's why we have to practice this, because if you're good at one pattern but not the other, you're gonna compromise sooner or later, because we have to be able to do both. Okay, staying here with the ball under the ball of your foot, we're gonna hinge forward and then come back out. Straight spine, no rounding your spine, suck in your tummy, keep your knees turned out. This is opening up your calf muscle, gastrocnemius, on that left side. Okay, and now we're going to put the ball just in front of your heel. Abs are nice and tight. This is going to get the other end of their plantar fascia. That's why it can be exquisitely painful for certain people. You're going to try to keep your right heel down. This will cause your hip to go off to left, so it may open up your glute medius as well. Abs are nice and tight. You're going to pump your hips forward. Suck in your tummy. Keep your abs engaged. First, second, third shot. Chakras are fired up. Okay, now take your hands over the top of your head, and they should be over the top of your head as you arch forward. Keep keep your right heel down, abs are nice and tight. Arch back, suck in that tummy. It is okay that your hips are uneven, because that's what life will ask of us sooner or later. And good, we're gonna switch sides. We're going to start out on this side doing what we did on the other side. We're going to curl our toes down, and then you're going to lift your toes up. As your toes go down, they're going to go together, and then they come up and separate apart. Together and apart. Feel the difference from side to side. There shouldn't be. It should be exactly the same. Abs are nice and tight. So this is a functional sit-up. Keep breathing. Okay, now we're going to go down and apart, up and together. Down and apart, up and together. Down and apart, up and together. Notice if one side's easier than the other. We don't like it when one side's easier than the other, or one pattern is easier than the other, because it'll become an overused pattern. Now I forgot the pattern. Apart, together, apart, together, apart, together. Good. And now you're going to hinge forward, straight spine, and then come back up. Notice if one side's tighter than the other. It shouldn't be. Try to keep your spine straight. Your abs are stabilizing to protect your back, because we're stretching muscles and not joints. Keep breathing. Oh. Just feel it opening and lengthening. Suck in that tummy. Okay. Now we're going to take that ball just in front of your heel of your foot. Abs are nice and tight. You're gonna drop your heel down, abs are nice and tight, so you're dropping your left heel down, both feet are parallel. You're gonna pump your hips forward. You may feel a stretch on this glute medius. You're opening up your plantar fascia on this side, so this can be quite tender. Smiles are up. Okay, now arms go over the top of your head as you arch. Keep breathing. 9, 10, good. Both feet are on the ground. I want you to see what the ground feels like underneath you because we have opened up the feet slightly. We're going to come back to the feet. We're going to open up the calves now. I know some of this will be familiar because that's why we always do it. It's important. Ball of your foot is on the block, heel is down, abs are nice and tight, you're sucking in your tummy. Both feet are parallel, abs are nice and tight, shoulder blades are down and back. We're gonna mount the hips. You're gonna pump your hips forward. This is lengthening out that gastrocnemius. You're gonna breathe. And once again, here we go. Abs are nice and tight. You're gonna hinge from the hip and then come back up. Hinge from the hip. No pressure in your low back because you're using muscles and not joints. So if you feel this in your low back, it means you need to tighten up your abs more. Push your hips back more as well. Suck in that tummy. Good. Abs are nice and tight. You're gonna take this leg across midline now. You're gonna bend your front leg. That's gonna get after what the muscle called the soleus. It may even get a little bit of your glute max. It's gonna be a deep crossing of the midline. Your feet are parallel. Abs are nice and tight. We're gonna bend and straighten that front leg. Your knee is not over the top of your foot. Suck in your tummy. So this is getting soleus, then gastroc. Soleus, gastroc. Okay, here we do a straight leg, do a forward fold. Just feel that stretch, feel your abs engage. Hold that stretch. Keep your abs engaged. Good, come on back up again. Our feet are gonna go parallel. We're gonna go in the opposite direction as you take your arms over the top of your head to pump backwards. Okay. Switch sides. Heel goes down, abs are nice and tight, you're sucking your tummy. Just feel what it feels like to lengthen that gastroc, abs are nice and tight. We're gonna pump those hips forward. Keep those feet parallel, keep the energy lifted, abs engaged, don't work transfer. This is time under tension. We've talked about this in the past. We like tension in the body, we just like it in the correct spot. We would never throw away, tension is a good thing, we'd never throw it away. Just like we'd never throw away an extra $10,000. You would use it somewhere else that actually needs it. Okay, keep your abs engaged, suck in your tummy. We're gonna hinge from the hip and then come back up again. Feel the stretch in your muscles and not in your joints. Keep your shoulder blades down back. You should feel no pressure in your spine or your knee, because we're working muscles and not joints. Keep breathing. This is all for opening up your foot. Okay, now you're gonna take your foot across midline. Front knee is bent, both feet are parallel. Knee is not over the top of your foot, as you can see. Sucking your tummy, you're just gonna bend and straighten that front leg. You're gonna stretch your soleus to gastroc, soleus, gastroc. You may even catch some of your glute max, which would be nice. Sucking that tummy. Okay. Keeping that front leg straight now, you're just gonna lean forward and stretch. Suck in that tummy, make sure your abs are engaged. No pressure in any joints. And good, we're gonna come back to feet parallel. Abs are nice and tight, you're sucking in your tummy, arms go over the top of your head, we're just gonna counter stretch. You should feel no pressure in your low back because your abs are engaged, your smiles are up. We are looking like Restaurant Buddha. Oh. Good. Go ahead and release those arms. Once again, stand on 2 feet. See what the ground feels like under your feet. Your feet should feel very relaxed now, because we've taken a lot of the tension load out of your calves. Okay? Block goes underneath your left foot again. We're just gonna curl the toes as we lift up our heel, and then you're gonna lower the heel down. So we're mobilizing ankle now. So here's what's important. Watch the alignment of your knee. Make sure it's not doing this or doing that, or that your ankle's doing this or that. It's straight up, straight down. Everything lines up going forward, because that is the most efficient motion. It's called sagittal motion. And we want to be able to run forward and not run to the side or run to the other side while we think we're running straight. And this tells you what and how your toes are supposed to flex and extend in the proper plane. So if you find your feet wanting to do that, that's not so good. We want this. Okay, we're gonna flip those toes over. You're curling your toes under, your abs are engaged. You're gonna do a little squat and then come back up. Abs are nice and tight. Just feel what it feels like to have pressure against your toes in this position. You gotta be able to do this so you don't break your toes when you run into the coffee table in the middle of the night because your little dog wants to go outside. Like last night, for instance. Smiles are up. Okay, we're just gonna switch sides. Same thing on this side, we're doing exactly the same thing. Just getting in the habit of moving your joints and trying to study them moving symmetrically. So once again, watch the alignment, make sure your knee's not going in or out, or it's blowing out of your ankle strangely, or your foot's doing something weird. Your feet are parallel, your knees going forward in that sagittal plane like you're running. Keep breathing. Okay, we're gonna flip those toes over. Toes are curled under now, and we're gonna squat. Watch the alignment of your knees. It's gonna be another hot one today. Hot, humid, and muggy. HHM. 3 favorite things about Hawaii. Hot, humid, and muggy. Suck in your tummy. we're switching feet again. We're going to mobilize the foot a little bit. We are going to do off-center motion, so you're going to stir a little bit, but that means you're loading up this leg. This becomes a non-load-bearing joint. This is what allows us to do these crazy motions. So I want you to watch the alignment on your right knee. Make sure your quad's on, your butt's on, your abs are engaged, so you can do the crazy leg. This is mobilizing your foot and your ankle this time, doing exactly what I told you not to do on the first part of this. Go in the opposite direction. And this is all to give life to your feet. Keep your feet parallel as we now switch sides. Okay, you're loading up your left leg. Watch the alignment, knee over top of your foot. Abs are engaged, quads on, butt's on. Upper body's on, and you're wiggling this leg around because it's not weight bearing. You can do whatever you want when you're non-weight bearing. In zero gravity, do you think we care about mechanics? No, you're non-weight bearing. Abs are nice and tight. That's why when I watch some of the astronauts do the things that they do in space, I'm like, it's okay. They're not in gravity. Opposite direction. Keep your abs engaged. Don't turn off your abs. You have to protect your extremities. Okay, good. We're going to come back into standing and you're going to notice something. Your quads and your knees feel a little bit tight. That is because we've done such a good job of mobilizing the feet that we have to now mobilize the knees and the quads. But before we do, we're going to do one last exercise. You're going to lift your right heel up and lower it back down. Left heel up, down. Make sure your knees go straight forward, straight back. No aberrant motion. Suck in your tummy. Oh, this should look an awful lot like walking. Smiles are up. Try to keep your head still. It'll move a little bit because your body's moving, but I don't want to see this kind of action going on. Suck in your tummy, abs are engaged. This is really showing you how your feet should bend if you're doing things correctly. It should not turn like this. This is scary when I see that, and I see it more often than you think. So I was walking down the beach and I was following footprints and I saw this really odd footprint. One clean foot, one foot turned out, and I kept following it. I'm just like, wow, less and less weight on that right foot. And I kept walking behind this person, walking. I didn't know where that person was. Finally, I caught up to where the footprint met the foot, and there's a guy on the beach rubbing his knee. And I said, may I suggest you keep your feet parallel? And he was like, shut up. Okay, here we go. Now we're going to stretch out your quad muscles. All this so we can get to the feet. You're going to put your left knee on the block, abs are nice and tight, you're going to suck in your tummy. As always, we're going to start out with our hip circles because it's just good practice to activate the riding reflex. So head is over the top of the block, you're going to do hip circles. Suck in your tummy as you're doing hip circles. Keep breathing. Really get a feel for that. Feel what it feels like to articulate your joints properly with the support of your muscles. There should be no pressure in your low back. Opposite direction. Notice one direction was definitely easier than the other direction. Shouldn't be, it's the same hip, and it's still a circle. Try to keep that head over the top of the block. Because we are examining, we are going to immediately shift sides. Usually I keep you on the same side, but I want you to see if there's a difference. Because that would explain some of the forces over the tops of your feet. So head is over the top of the block once again. Hip circles, try not to move your head. Abs are engaged. So if you're not so good on one side, you're going to walk heavy on one leg, and that would explain soreness in the feet or even in your knees. Suck in your tummy. Watch the alignment of your left knee as well. Try not to let it move all over the place. Keep it still. Yes. Abs are engaged. Opposite direction. Notice if one direction is easier than the other or one side was easier than the other. Hooray. Suck in that tummy. Okay, we're gonna switch sides. You're gonna take your right hand, grab a hold of that left foot. Oh, I gotta back up a little. Abs are nice and tight. Really bring that heel to your butt. Chest is up, shoulder blades are down and back. Suck in that tummy. We're stretching a rectus femoris. So the rectus femoris crosses into the ilia or the pelvis. So it can pull your back into arch extension if your abs shut off. I want you to tighten your abs now. Tight, 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 because we're really gonna pull that heel into the butt and then we're gonna step forward, we're gonna stretch. So you got a good stretch going on here. Abs are nice and tight. You're sucking out that tummy. Bring that heel to your butt. Stretch forward, and then you can rock side to side to get pieces of it that are tight. You should feel no pressure in any joint. If you do feel pressure in your knee joint, that is because your quad is especially tight, not because you're injuring your knee. That has to do with something called Head's Law. That's for another day. Abs are nice and tight. Really pull that heel to your butt, stretch forward a little bit more, open it up. Because like we said, when we were opening the feet, we started feeling our knees and our quads. Keep breathing. Okay, good. Go ahead and release this leg. We're going to stretch forward, lengthen. Suck in that tummy. Chest up. Good. We're going to switch sides now. Left foot is forward, right foot is back. You're going to take your left hand, grab a hold of your right foot, bring your heel to your butt. Let's see, I went this way, right? Pull that heel to your butt as much as you can. No pressure in your low back because you're tightening your abs. You can get it, David. If you're having trouble, sometimes it's easier to stick your butt out, set it, and then bring it forward. There you go. Chest up, shoulder blades down and back. Now push your hips forward, pull your heel to your butt. You're really pulling that heel to your butt. Suck in that tummy. Feel that stretch. We're lengthening the rectus femoris. And like I said, it could cause your pelvis to tilt and put an arch in your back. But the way you prevent that is to tighten your abs, and that keeps your low back protected. It's okay if you feel pressure in your knee. That's because your quad is so very tight. Rock your hips from side to side. Keep breathing, keep smiling. Okay, you can release that rear leg. We're going to stretch forward now. Abs are engaged, chest up. Suck in that tummy. Good. We're going to come out of this and come into kneeling. You're going to go kneeling against the ground. You're going to put your roller in front of you. I'm going to angle off just so you can see what I'm doing. But you can stay pointed forward. You're going to roll over onto your quads. We're going to roll out the quads now. Roll, roll. If it gets easier, you can do one side at a time. Find a sore spot, bend and straighten your leg till it breaks up. Keep your abs engaged. Oh. You get all the way to your hip flexor, you can flex and extend your hip. Woo! It is amazing how the relationship between the foot, the quad, it's part of the big three, the calves, quads, and the butt. But we don't think about it. The quad muscles, if they start to lengthen, we lock out our legs, we're gonna be really heavy when we walk. So we gotta be able to flex these quads. And good. Come into kneeling. It should feel one heck of a lot better. We have to go after our next group just so we can go after the feet, and that's your booty. So I'm gonna be sideways. It's just easier for you guys to see, but your hands are gonna be back behind you. You're sitting on top of the roller. You're now gonna take your right leg, put it over your left knee, and you're putting all the weight onto your right butt cheek as you roll out that right butt cheek. If you wanna make it more intense, you could take your left hand, pull that right leg in deeper, and then reach across with that right hand, pull your knee to your chest, and roll out your booty. This is your glute max piriformis complex. And this can cause all sorts of low back and knee pain, hip pain, sciatica. In most cases, sciatica is just this. You got tight booty syndrome. Suck in that tummy, create body shape. So I was at a yoga retreat. This is reminding me for some reason, I don't know why. I think it's the rocking and the legs being crossed. And we were supposed to sit in a pose and say an affirmation out loud that has some meaning to us. And people are like, I am flowing with energy. I am strong. I am flexible. And I said, because it's the only thing that came to me, everything tastes better when it's deep fried. And then the guy after me was just like, oh, French fries sound so good. I like deep fried shrimp. It totally changed the mood. And the instructor in class was like, okay, let's get back on focus here. We're not talking about food. But that was my contribution. Okay, we're gonna switch sides. I'm gonna switch directions as I switch sides. So the roller goes underneath your left butt cheek. Abs are nice and tight. You're going heavy onto this butt cheek. If you want, you can pull your heel into your hip and then reach across with your hand, bring your knee to your chest. Suck in that tummy. Really get on the side of it and open things up. Piriformis muscle causes so much low back pain and sacral instability that people suffer when they don't need to. This is all they need to do. But they'd rather suffer with the pain than do this. We're gonna do it. Roll it out. Keep breathing. Everything tastes better when it's deep fried. See how it just flows out? Abs are nice and tight. Okay. You're gonna come out of this, both feet go on the ground. You're gonna roll your spine. We're just gonna put a little flexibility into the spine. As you roll towards your feet, your heels go up. As you roll towards your head, your toes go up, heels and toes. It's okay if you hear snap, crackling, and popping of your ribs as they re-articulate in your spine. That's okay. Just no breaking sounds. Careful of hair, jewelry, clothing, and drawstrings. You can take your arms over the top of your head, give you a longer lever arm, and more ways to get into the shoulders. Ugh. You can add a twist to get one side more than the other. It's just fun. And we're gonna finish this out by dropping your butt down, putting the roller under your head like a pillow, and you're gonna turn your head left and right. Just say no. But you can also say yes, but for the most part, say no. Notice if you're sore on one side, but not on the other. Or sore on this side, but not on the other. Then you have to ask the question, why? Because it shouldn't be sore at all. If it's sore on both sides, you ask yourself why as well. Just roll it out. Because this is part of the writing reflex. So if there is a soreness in there, it's because you're using one portion of the writing reflex and not using the reflex properly, using the whole mobility of your neck, and you're wearing out one part of your neck, and it usually has to do with something in your hips and your feet. Okay, we gotta do one stop along the way. Lift up your head, head comes to the ground, just feel what the ground feels like underneath you. It should feel amazing. We gotta make one quick stop. We gotta work on the pelvic floor because the pelvic floor is so related to the feet. It's not funny. So if you have problems with the arches of your feet, plantar fascia in the feet, you also have a weakness of your pelvic floor. So we're gonna work on that right now. You're gonna sit up, have a seat on top of the ball. If you have short arms like me, you can grab your blocks. Your feet are parallel, and we're going to do circles under the pelvic floor. This is the area between your sits bones and your pubic symphysis and your tailbone. So you don't want to go on your tailbone. That's not fun. Roll it out. Abs are nice and tight. You're sucking in your tummy. Notice if there's any sharp pain, because this is part of the abdomen. Sharp pain is gas, dull achy pain is fecal material, deep boring pain is blood stagnation or adhesion. We gotta get that stuff out of here and moving. Okay, now your legs are gonna go wide. And you can bend and straighten the leg as you do pelvic floor exercises. This is going to open up your adductors. You can see how your feet and knees are engaged in this equation as you do circles underneath your pelvic floor. Go in the opposite direction at any old time. See if one direction was easier or more difficult than the other side. Shouldn't be, it's exactly the same motion, but it can be, which is interesting. Smiles are up. Stay in between the borders that I talked about, ischial tuberosities, pubic symphysis, tailbone. You can go side to side now as you stretch out those adductors a little bit more. Oh, you can hold one side. You can hold the other side. Just go back and forth. Just get stretch. Keep your abs engaged. This is teaching you to stretch out your adductors while your pelvic floor is on, which we do lose over time. It's a bad habit to get, so we have to change it back to good habits. Okay, keeping the ball underneath your pelvic floor, midway between your pubic bone and tailbone. We are now going to bring the soles of our feet together. Abs are nice and tight, your chest is up. You're going to do circles on top of the ball. You can see how the shape of the pelvic floor and the feet are similar. And you can see how they function together as we do this exercise. Chest up, eyes up, heart up, smiles up. And then opposite direction. We are working the pelvic floor. This is wonderful. Keep your feet together on this one. Abs are nice and tight. You're going to squeeze as tightly as you can your pelvic floor, not your butt, and then release. As you do, suck in your tummy, close up your rib cage, keep your head over top of the ball, chest up. Squeeze, release, squeeze, release. Let's see why we're doing these ones in particular, because it's got to get us to our feet. You're going to drop your left leg down. You can go in front or it can go on top. Either way is fine. Chest is up. Abs are nice and tight. You're going to suck in your tummy. You're just going to continue doing circles. Chest up. Because we can't work on the feet if you can't reach them. Opposite direction. Okay, we're gonna switch sides. You're gonna take your right leg down. You're gonna take, and it's against the ground, so that gives you balance. And then your left leg on top. Same thing, just wiggles around. Sucking your tummy, shoulder blades are down back, head is over top of your pelvic floor. Chest is up. Opposite direction. Yay! Chest is up. We're going to do a little bit of walking. Your legs are going to go straight. Abs are nice and tight. You're sucking your tummy. Hands are, and stick them up. First, we're going to do hip circles, where the motion has to come from your hips, not from your feet, knees, or ankles. Now go in the opposite direction. Once again, it's coming from your hips. Notice if you're accidentally using your adductors or not. Okay? You're back on top of the ball. Abs are nice and tight. We're going for a walk. Do not bend your knees to make this happen. You're going to do right foot, left foot, opposite hand, opposite foot. You're just going for a walk. You have to be able to lift up the full length of your extremity as you walk, as well as bend it. We have to work both long and short lever, but in this case, long lever is harder, so we're working on this one. Chest up. Okay. Butt rolls off the ball and onto the ground. The ball's in the small of your back. You're going to arch over the top of the ball. Oh, you can take your arms over the top of your head if you have enough space, and then you can rock from side to side. If you feel pressure in your low back, that means you use your psoas muscle. We don't like that. If you have pain in the front of your hips, that means you use your iliacus or your hip flexors. We don't like that either. But if you have soreness right down here, this is your rectus abdominis, that's a great sign that you use your ab muscles appropriately. And you chose wisely. Okay, bend your knees, lift up your butt, take that ball out from underneath your back. We're gonna sit back up again. Okay, this is the whole point of everything we did. You're gonna take this left leg out to the side. You're gonna take your hands and now you're gonna massage your toes. We're gonna separate the toes. Am I too far off the screen? You're gonna massage your toes and spread your toes, lengthen your toes, bend your toes. You're gonna create flexibility in the feet that you may not work at during the day. And if you're having troubles being in this position, it tells me you don't work on your feet enough. You're gonna work the arches of your feet as well. You can work your heel, but I want you making friends with your feet. If you want, you can lotion up your foot and really go after it. Massage, you can get into your calf as well. I have a client that just sprained his ankle, and I asked him how many times he's massaged his ankle. He's like, I don't touch it. And I'm like, how do you expect it to heal? Gotta touch it. Spread between your toes. And then spread between every other toe. So you're spreading it out, spreading it out. You're really just getting your foot to relax. Massage out that heel. Massage out that medial arch. You could get that lateral arch by just compressing down. This is some good stuff. You want to get it. Okay, now we're going to have some fun. You're going to take your left hand, interlock it with the toes of your right foot. And then you're going to move your ankle around. You can massage your foot still, or you can massage your calf. You could press your knee down. You're just opening everything up. You can bend and straighten your toes. Bend them and straighten them. You'll notice bending them is harder than lifting them up because the toes like to separate when they come up. Abs are nice and tight. You're sucking in your tummy. Oh yes, this is nice. You should not feel pain in any of this. And now you're going to massage the top side of your foot. Just get the top side of your foot. This is not such a big discussion here, but on the mainland, where people wear shoes a whole lot more, I used to do a lot of this because the feet never got out to play. In fact, I talked about shoes at the beginning. I told you I was an 8.5 quadruple E. Since moving to this island, I'm a size 10 quadruple E. My foot is turned into a flipper. Okay? So this is nice because we have also opened up the hips unintentionally, and now we're going to switch sides. We're going to get in this position now, get that foot out in front of you as you start massaging out your foot. You can get the arches of your feet, you can get your toes, just wiggle everything around, get some circulation in there, get your heels, do everything you did on the other side. You could do compressive stuff, you could push down on your foot. Either way is fine. Just work it. There should be no pain. There should be nothing but relief. Squeeze that heel together. And then you can stretch the toes. You can elongate them. You can separate them. You can pull them apart. Pull them apart. Pull them apart. Pull them apart. And then you can pull them apart every other toe. We're increasing circulation to the feet, which is very, very important. You can massage the arches of your feet, that anterior arch, the medial arch that we've talked about, the lateral arch, and that spring arch in the back of your foot. Get anything out that feels sore. Okay, and now you're going to interlock your right hand with your left finger, or left toes. Spread them, spread them, spread them, spread them, spread them. You can move your ankle around. You can continue to massage your foot as you're doing this. You'll work your calf, you can press your knee down. Either way, suck in your tummy. Keep breathing. And now you're gonna extend your toes, bring them up, 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 and then you're gonna flex them down. Up and down. Still massaging your feet if you'd like. Suck in your tummy. Smiles are up. Keep breathing. Okay, you can massage the top of your foot. Good. Then you can take your legs out in front of you. As you shake out your legs and your feet, because that's a lot of time with your knees bent off to the side if you're not used to it. This is something interesting that I experienced at a yoga retreat. Kind of freaked me out, but it's good. Is now you're going to try to interlock your toes. So the same way you interlock your hands, you're going to interlock your toes. It takes a little working if you're not used to it, but it's so good for your toes. And it's just something fun to do while you're at the beach or something. You can massage out your feet still. Feels kind of creepy. Suck in that tummy. And then, good, reverse the grip. So you're just reversing the grip of your fingers, or your toes interlocking. That one goes there. Then this one goes there. There we go. Massage out your feet. Suck in your tummy. Look how weird your toes look. Okay, good. I wish Mari was here. She can do some incredible toe stuff. Legs go straight. Shake your legs out and then just spread your toes and bring them together. Just wiggle your toes around. It's an activity we should be able to do. Feel what it feels like to curve them in versus curving them out. Curve them in, curve them out, keep your abs engaged. You can see why all these functions are important. So, I worked with a basketball team and they showed me their warm-up, and it was a beautiful warm-up, except they did no foot warm-up, and they had one of the highest incidents of ankle injuries. So I made them add a toe warm-up. And as soon as they started doing that, they started getting less knee or ankle problems, but the exciting thing is they got a whole lot less knee injuries. Okay, we're gonna take the ball, put it behind your spine because we did a lot of flexion. We're gonna counter stretch it as we go into extension. You can rock from side to side. Notice if it's in your low back, that means it went into your psoas muscle. If it's in the front of your hips, that means it went into your iliacus. If it's in your abdominal muscles, yay, you used the right group. Keep your abs engaged, suck in that tummy. And then we do the last thing for those little feeties. You're gonna put the ball underneath your sacrum. You're gonna let your feet go in the air, and all you're gonna do is let the blood drain out of your feet, back through your calves to your heart. You can add pumping, because we've talked about it before. The soleus muscle is the second heart in the body, and it pumps the blood from your lower extremities, assisting it back to your heart. So as you do this, we're getting more blood flow back from your feet to your heart. You could take your legs out to the side, doing the same things. Wiggle those toes. Just let the blood drain. And then just squeeze your toes together and then separate them. Just look at them. Look at them working. Which toes have troubles doing this? It's always about making things better. Just a few more times. And good. You can bend your knees, lift up your hips, come off the ball, and now you're going to come onto the roller. Make sure your head's on the roller and your butt's on the roller. Your head's going to come slightly off the roller. You're going to be just off what's called your EOP, your external occipital protuberance, the bump on the back of your head that some people can have quite pronounced ones. You're going to be just off of that because it allows you a cervical curve and it gets your head over the top of your pelvic floor. But most importantly, it's called the fossa cerebrae in the brain. It's this membrane that holds your brain up, is now over top of your pelvic floor. So as you breathe, you're also pumping cerebral spinal fluid. Feet are parallel, knees are bent, knees are over tops of your feet. You are in athletic ready posture. Feet are parallel. First, second, third chakras are on. Your knees are over tops of your feet. You're closing up your rib cage. You're drawing your shoulder blades back. We're long through the torso, and our riding reflex is kicking off. Just breathe. See what it feels like to breathe with your abs engaged. Feel what your feet feel like against the ground. They should be very, very comfortable, but they should be giving you all sorts of information, like what the ground feels like underneath you, what kind of forces are going through your feet. And it's transferring all that information almost immediately to your hips through that binary switch of your knees. This should cause your core to turn on and your shoulder blades to roll off. And even though you're on your back with your eyes closed, your sense organs, especially your eyes, become active to scanning the environment. But we're going to tone those down for the moment as we breathe. You guys stay on your rollers. I'm gonna come off to bring you guys home. Just feel what it feels like to have integration with the ground. And really, if you think about it, how many people are walking around this environment and this world not grounded to the earth, making comments about things that are going on, trying to do things without feeling what's under their feet? That kind of scares me. But instead, we're going to see what the ground feels like underneath us, under our feet, and what it does, because athletic ready position or athletic ready posture is bringing us into our center. And center is where meditation is at. So feel what it feels like to be closer to meditation, and see how you can incorporate athletic ready posture with more things that you do. You can gently roll off your rollers onto your back, straighten out both legs, and see what the ground feels like underneath you after having athletic ready posture on. So imagine if you spent a whole day with athletic ready posture, you would feel like what you feel like now. It should feel like someone dug a groove out underneath you, underneath your spine. Your legs feel long and relaxed, your knees feel energized and open, your shoulders feel down and back, and your neck feels long. And you're connected finally to all your internal organs as you breathe. That's what sleep should feel like. So on behalf of Maria, who's spending her last few days with Kaya on the East Coast, and me, I would like to say that we appreciate you very much, and how you show up, how you support us, how you do the crazy things we ask. Thank you for being in our lives, and namaste.